Well, hello viewers. Say hi to Steve. He has finally finished his dream house. Yeah, isn't it beautiful? But Steve suddenly realizes that something is missing. Maybe he needs a bit more nature around. So he grabs few saplings and some bone meal and starts working hard. Now he's done. Time to admire the masterpiece. I'm kidding, Steve. Those trees look awful. If you're like Steve and think that sapling plus bone meal equals straight tree, let me tell you, it doesn't. Those trees belong in tree farms or composts. In this video, I will show you some tips and tricks for building beautiful custom trees, and at the end, we'll build one together. Welcome to Tree Course lesson number 1. Let's start with basics. What actually is tree? A tree is perennial woody plant with elongated trunk that supports branches and leaves. So the main parts are trunk, branches and of course leaves. And if you have looked at it from above, it would usually have a structure like this, though it can vary a lot depending on species. Wait, did I hear someone say roots? Okay then, let's take a look and see if there is any roots in trees. Nope, can't find any roots. I've only seen hanging roots and rooted dirt, but do those really count as a tree roots? I'm not sure about that. When we start building, the first thing we need is inspiration for what we want to build. It can be anything. Have a walk in a forest, take some photos of trees, or simply watch some videos on YouTube. Personally, I like to use real life trees as a inspiration. But remember, this is Minecraft. This game is all about creativity and imagination. So you don't have to stick to realistic trees. You can create something completely new, even alien landscape, like what Rendog did in Hermitcraft Season 10. He used all of those imaginary plants as a pieces of puzzle to tie his story together, and he did it so inspiringly. We need to be mindful about the scale also. If we build tree way too big, it will shrink the size of our builds. And next we will watch an example of that. Imagine that you have built your McDonald's or similar kind of structure and you want to frame it couple of trees. In case like this, you don't want to go too big. You want to have young trees like these. These are that type of trees that you can see used in cities or along roadsides. However, if you decide to go for large older trees, you've been warned, because those are way out of the proportion and they don't fit the overall scene you are setting. Also, I want to take this moment and say to you guys that while those huge mega trees you see online look absolutely epic, in survival they take forever to build. For me, smaller trees are just much more cost effective, and honestly, they make more sense near towns or human areas since most trees there tend to be smaller anyway. So save yourself and don't feel pressured to build gigantic trees. Now, let's talk about leaves. We've got a lot more variety these days compared to how it used to be. Everything from really light azalea leaves all the way to the dark spruce ones, but the big question is, how do you actually use them in your custom trees? Now, let's get into one simple principle regarding leaves. When you have picked the main leaf type you want to use, it is good idea to add few hues close to it. One slightly lighter and one slightly darker. That way you can create the effect of sunlight hitting the top of a tree and shadows forming near the base. It is small detail, but it makes big difference in how alive and realistic your trees feel. Let's dive into few example trees I've built earlier and see what makes them work. First without leaves and then with leaves on. First we have young birch. It doesn't look like much yet, because young trees like these are mostly defined by their leaves. For older birch, instead of just stacking birch logs for the trunk, I like to mix in different blocks like diorite, quartz, pale oak and even sandstone. Using a mix of walls, slabs, stairs and trapdoors gives the trunk way more texture and depth. And it feels more natural and interesting than a simple pillar of logs. Now this again is a bit older than the previous one. I wanted to keep the shape more like pillar. Branches are shorter and thicker, giving it tall, strong look. Down at the base, I added some mossy cobblestones to give it the old weathered forest vibe, like it has been here for hundreds of years. And then again, this young spruce doesn't look like anything without leaves. Even older spruce tree is the same story. You don't need that many branches. You can just add a few here and there. Even adding some fence posts is often enough. The classic spruce look really comes from leaves. Now this one is really old. It has been standing here for thousands of years. Old spruces like this usually have thick grey trunk covered in moss. Their branches twist and zigzag in odd directions, so you can get a bit playful how you shape them. In this tree I've used even glass to smooth up the trunk. Now we got the leaves on, we can see that this one is actually a tree. The young birch usually has very clear bill shape, tall and narrow, but it is crucial to break that shape with some odd leaves here and there. With birches you don't want to add too many leaves, something like 60-40 is good guide. One trick to achieve that is to place leaves on the lower branches so they form kind of hollow sphere around the branch without touching it. Near the top it is okay if leaves touch the branch a bit more, so the shape naturally tapers. This way you will get the wider base and thinner top that birches have in nature. And don't forget to leave some gaps so the light can reach the base of the trunk. That keeps it from looking too shady or heavy. With this one I've placed the leaves in more traditional style, so to say. Just add it around the branches. What I really want to show here is how you can add a bit of movement to your tree. The lower branches leaves are hanging slightly down, and middle ones are more or less level, and at the top they reach upwards. That simple change gives your tree so much more natural and dynamic shape. This young spruce is shaped into classic Christmas tree shape, with some asymmetry, just to make it more interesting. With this spruce you can see how to achieve that classic spruce look. The way leaves are placed diagonally helps guide your eye toward the top. The whole shape should gently taper as it rises, giving that natural conical form. For a bit of variation, sometimes add a few brown candles here and there just to resemble cones. With this old spruce I've added the leaves in small blobs that slightly touch each other. They spiral gently around the trunk all the way to the top, which helps to give that natural layered look older spruces often have. This way the tree doesn't look too dense, and the spiral structure keeps it visually interesting from every angle. What we can see even with these trees is that blocks you can use can be almost any you want. Mixing different materials makes your trees so much more interesting and unique. So if you have been using blocks derived from trees, it is time to expand your block palette. Try a new combination and play around with textures. You'll be surprised how much it changes the look. Alrighty, now we are ready to start building our custom tree. I decided to go with Scots pine, a beautiful tree and one that grows all over where I'm from. They are really simple to make, but trust me, when you have a group of them together, they make an amazing impression. There is one more advantage for this tree. Here is everything you need for the trunk, so not many materials at all. Let's start building. Scots pines have grey lower half and orange top half, So for the bottom I'm using tough and acacia logs, and for the upper part stripped acacia. Just to add a bit of variation I've mixed in some tough and acacia logs near the top too. At the very top I've placed tough walls. I'm also using acacia planks and trapdoors to create look of dead branches. And voila, the trunk is done. Next we will start adding the leaves, which are a bit more complicated than the trunk, so bear with me. I usually start placing leaves around the middle of the tree. I start by making small circles of leaves around the trunk, and as I work my way up, I make the circles gradually wider. When I'm happy with the shape, I start adding some thickness to each circle to give it more volume. I usually leave about 2 to 3 blocks of space between each layer. And yes, I call them circles, even though they are nowhere near actual circles, but they are for me. You also don't want the tree to look too symmetrical, so try offsetting the center of each circle slightly from the trunk, or make the shapes uneven. That little bit of asymmetry makes the tree look so much more natural. This layer here is the widest circle I'm going to make for this tree, and from this point on I will start making the circle smaller and smaller as I move toward the top. And again, just to make it look more natural, at the edge of each circle I usually have a few holes here and there. If the edge were perfectly straight, it would start to look man-made, and we don't want that. And by the way, if you guys want, I can make this world available for download, just to make it more convenient if you would like to add these trees to your own world. Or I can make schematics instead, whatever works best for you. Just leave comment and I'll make it happen. Now I'm happy with the overall shape of the canopy, so I'm starting to place lighter colored leaves in spots where I feel the sunlight would naturally hit. This little detail really helps to bring the tree to life. It adds depth and makes the canopy look like it is catching the light from above. Now we are almost done. There is just one more thing I like to do. I make small hole in the canopy so that some light can reach the base of the trunk. It is simple detail, but it really helps the whole tree to feel more open. Although this tree doesn't cast that much of shade, I always like to do it, so that when I build a forest, it doesn't become too shadowy or too dark. If you're still here, congrats! That means that you've mastered your first lesson and officially started your journey toward becoming custom tree expert. Alright, I think we are ready to return to Steve and introduce him to world of custom trees, and who knows, maybe we can convince him to finally replace those ugly trees with something beautiful. Okay, this seems the place where Steve lives. I can see the house, but it looks way different now. Wait a second, he has taken down the old vanilla trees and added some custom ones instead? Hold on, those trees look familiar. He has copied my tree design. How rude is that man? Alright, cover your ears. I'm going to have a little chat with Steve and it is not going to be a nice one. Well, forsooth, that was something. Anyway, let's have a quick look around and see what Steve has managed to put together. Not bad at all. You can really tell Steve has been around for 16 years. And honestly, I'm not even mad at him for those nasty words earlier. What matters is that this place looks so much better now. I'd say that counts as a job well done on my part. Hopefully you learned something from this video or at least had a good time. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. In next one we will be back here for some landscaping.